Hello, my friends. Hey, real estate family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Sonia's Real Estate Connection and Hot Topics, all things real estate on this channel. So glad that you could join in with me on today. Once again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, I want to speak to the real estate investors and buyers who are searching for properties and putting in offers on properties or thinking about putting in potential offers on properties, or maybe deciding not to submit an offer on a property that they've identified as a property of interest. As an active practitioner in this real estate market, I'm finding that some real estate investors and buyers are pausing their real estate search or not putting in offers on properties because they believe that the asking price is too high. And while that might be a good reason to not consider that property, I don't think it should be the deciding factor. And I'll tell you why. Folks, I've been in this real estate game for a long time. And I've had many investors and buyers and clients who have submitted offers on properties that they thought were overpriced for the market. But they didn't let that stop them from going after what they wanted. They put their offers in at a price they thought was fair or what they thought it was worth. And at some point, there was a meeting of the minds eventually where the seller and buyer agreed to a price, terms, and the property went under contract, which resulted in a successful sale. Now, if they had let that price scare them away or deter them, they may not have successfully secured that property at a price that met their goals and needs. So, what I'm saying to you is don't let the price scare you away. If you feel strongly enough about it, if you feel that this may be the right property for you or the right house for you, if the numbers match up, if everything aligns up to your criteria, then go for it. Go for it. Because listen, some of the most successful investors and buyers that I know are very aggressive, very focused on what they want, and very optimistic. They have a very positive outlook on things. And if things don't work out, then it's just not meant to be. That means that God has something bigger and better in store for you, or that there's something else that has your name on it. And, what I always say that whatever's meant for you is for you. Whatever's meant to be will be. Que sera, sera. Now, if you bid on a property, say 20, 30, 40%, or even 50% below asking price, and the seller rejects your offer or doesn't respond, then don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. At least you tried, right? That's 90, 95, 99% is that you get out there and try, do something, make some action. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you got to do something. Sometimes if a property is overpriced, then, there's nothing like a good dose of reality from the buying market to help the seller, better understand this. I've even had sellers who initially overprice their property, and they don't always listen to their agents. Sometimes they want to just put it out there and see what happens. And then, weeks and months later, when the offers come in 30, 40, 50% below their asking price, or they receive feedback from other showing agents and potential buyers, negative feedback or feedback to the contrary, then at that point, they have there's additional third-party hard data, objective data to support the fact that it is indeed overpriced for the condition or the location, or there may be a number of other factors that are negatively impacting the current pricing strategies. So fast forward 30, 60, 90 days later, after the property has been on the market and still hasn't sold, then they start to rethink their pricing strategy and either reduce the price or revisit the previous offers that came in, because hey, They don't want the property sitting on the market for too long, right? They want it sold, right? And where there's a willing seller and a willing buyer, if you have two parties that have a meeting of the minds where, the seller wants to sell, the buyer wants to buy. And so if they can meet somewhere in between and agree to price and terms, then guess what? We can have a successful sale and closing, right? Buyers and investors who are holding back on putting in offers simply because the property is overpriced, I'm telling you, don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Or, hey, don't be scared. Don't shy away from it, because you never know what might happen. And then, someone else may end up getting that property for the price you wanted it, or maybe even lower, because they took a chance. I've seen it happen time and time again, and then you end up kicking yourself in the rear end, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and by then it's too late. So don't let these opportunities pass you by because time waits for no one. Time waits for no one. Now, you might be thinking that, okay, but if I bid too low, the seller might be offended by this price. We don't want to offend the seller, right? That's what we would say back in the day. You don't want to offend the seller. It's a seller's market. Some investors simply don't care. They're just trying to get a good deal. They're trying to get the property at a good price. A lot of buyers are trying to buy a home at a good price. And so they're looking at bottom line numbers. And so if the math works and the numbers line up for this real estate investment, and if the calculations suggest, good ROI, return on investment, good potential cash flow, good cap rate, et cetera, then, the investors will go for it. My investors, they'll go for it. But hey, if the math ain't mathing, as they say, then move on to the next one and find something else that's more, better suited for the investment portfolio or something that meets the criteria of the investor and fits within their investment parameters. So again, what's meant to be will be, but don't let yourself miss out on an opportunity. Don't let those opportunities pass you by. In closing, as I wrap up, I just want to encourage any new real estate investors who may be, somewhat new to the real estate game. Maybe you're just jumping out there for the first time this year, or for this market, and you're just getting into the real estate scene or the real estate investment scene, and maybe you're holding back a little bit or on submitting those offers because you think it might offend the seller, or you think it might be too low, or you think it won't get accepted. They're just going to reject it. There's nothing like getting your feet wet and just, getting out there and go for it. All they can do is say yay or nay, yes or no. They can either accept the offer or reject it, or simply not respond. Now, what I mean by that is that, sellers aren't obligated to respond to an offer. They don't have to respond to an offer, but the agent or the broker has to present the offer in an objective manner, and upon request, they have to provide proof that that offer was in fact submitted to the seller. And this usually is in the form of completing typically the last page of the offer, or some page of the offer to purchase. And this is for residential offers to purchase. It's usually indicated by indicating the date and the time that the offer was submitted to the seller by the listing agent or listing broker. But again, the seller has no obligation to respond to that offer. So, if you keep asking, well, did they respond? Is there a response? The seller is not obligated to respond to that offer, but the agent does have to provide proof that that offer was submitted upon request. Then there are some sellers that have explicit instructions as to what amounts they can or will accept, or they may have instructed their agents not to present any offers below a certain amount, or they may have indicated that they will not accept or entertain any offers below a certain amount. So this criteria may also exist, and this is something that your agent should make you aware of, so that you can make an informed decision on the properties that you've identified that are of interest. For example, with some foreclosure properties or some tax foreclosure properties within the city of Milwaukee, the city of Milwaukee has indicated in the past that they would not accept offers below the asking price within the first 30 days, or they will not accept offers below 25% of the list price. So certain criteria like that, some sellers, they notify their agents, or they do convey this information to the general public or anyone who may be interested in bidding on their properties. Lastly, before I close out, if you are looking for an investment specialist or someone who specializes in real estate investment properties, working with buyers, then please, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We do specialize in this particular segment of the market. We work with real estate investment properties in the real estate investment market. Initially started out doing REOs, foreclosures, short sales, and distressed properties, and now work a lot with the residential and commercial investment properties and property management. So if you are in need of those services, or if you just have general questions about real estate, if you're just thinking about getting into real estate or want to get your feet wet, please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be more than happy to assist you further in your real estate journey. As you may know, this is what I do 24/7. So I do this 24/7. I absolutely love what I do. I love helping people find their real estate homes and real estate properties, and to help them build real estate wealth. I believe that real estate it consists of a vast pool of resources that can help build generational wealth. And I am honored and delighted to help anyone navigate and explore those waters. So come on, let's go swimming together, folks. Let's go, let's go, let's go. This is an exciting time. I love real estate. I love what I do. So on that note, that will bring this discussion to a close. And I want to thank you so much for tuning in to today's show, folks. Again, that concludes the discussion for today. I hope that you enjoyed the information, and I trust that you found this information to be useful, helpful, and valuable. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sonia's Real Estate Connection and Hot Topic. It's always a pleasure to serve my listening audience and viewers as we seek to educate and empower you to help you make an informed, educated decision concerning your real estate transaction and your real estate journey. And as always, we want to keep you up to date on the latest and greatest developments and information in the fabulous real estate industry. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Until we meet again, make it a great day. And may you always be safe, healthy, and be well. God bless.